Also hit them notifications so that you're able to get all of my content and all of my videos. Appreciate everybody joining me once again. And let's go ahead and tackle this topic. I've already talked about this topic before. I'm just going to double and triple down on what I said. Now, I have made a few corrections on what I stated. I think some people kind of took it and ran with it. But as you know, Paul Pierce. Salute to everybody that's in here too. Sugar, I see you in here, sweetie. Everybody else is joining in. We're going to tackle this in just a second. Just give me just a second, y'all. All right. All right, let's go ahead and talk about this situation right here. Now, Paul Pierce was on Keyshawn Johnson's podcast, and he made a statement that I'm not going to really call it a shocking statement, but everybody deep down at the bottom of their heart really feels this way, but they're just afraid to admit it. Okay, now let me go ahead and say that Steph Curry already has a case for both being top 10, and he has a case for being top 5, and he has a case for being in the GOAT discussion, okay? I didn't say that he was. I just said he has a case, okay? He has cases for it. Paul Pierce has came out on record, and he basically stated that Steph Curry, if he wins a 5th ring this year, he will be top 5 all time without question. Okay. And there are some people that might, have their disagreements and stuff. Then Keyshawn had came and he said, all right, who's already in the top 5? Of course, he mentioned Kareem. He mentioned, I think he mentioned Jordan. He mentioned, I think he mentioned Kobe. All right. Then he mentioned LeBron, and I forgot who else he had mentioned. But basically, he was saying that, well, Keyshawn had told him you gotta move one of those 5 out of there. Okay, if you're talking about having the top 5 and moving Steph Curry in there. And that's where the confusion comes in, because you're gonna have to move somebody out of that top 5. So this is the thing, man. Steph Curry already has a case for that right now. Okay, he has a case for top 5. I didn't necessarily say that he is, but he does have a case. All right. Now, a lot of people are gonna come with the argument, in terms of LeBron. I already know where it's going and stuff, okay? We've already established that they both have 4 rings, okay? All right, and that's where everybody wants to get to. They want to get to the nitty-gritty because they're looking at both of these players that have pretty much have ran this generation, okay? You look at Steph Curry, how he has revolutionized the 3-point shot. Okay, that's not to say that he was responsible for what you see. What's going on. He's not solely responsible, but he has revolutionized it and he's taken it to a whole nother level. He's influenced a generation. Some people have argued, like Paul Pierce, like LeBron, and others. They said that he's been the biggest influence right now. Um, Another thing is, man, another thing that I look at too that a lot of people aren't really looking at. Okay, let's start off with this for a second, right? We gotta understand. We have to understand something. When Jordan was playing and he three-peated, there was nobody that won on his watch. Okay, with the exception of when he retired. All right, and the only time they won on his watch is when, like I said, when he retired, and also uh, before the Bulls had finally hit the finals. Once they hit the finals with the first three-peat, it was on and popping until Jordan retired. Took that time off, and then he came back, and nobody won on his. Well, they won on his watch when he came back from retirement and everything. But of course, he wasn't in that type of shape. But then when he got back into tip top shape, into where he somewhat was, then you saw what happened. The thing about it is when people bring up LeBron, okay, we have to understand that there have been guys that have won on his watch. Kawhi has won on LeBron's watch. Steph Curry has won on LeBron's watch. If you want to throw KD in there, he's won on LeBron's watch. And Jokic has won on LeBron's watch. And I know some people are going to sit up there and they're going to say, oh, okay, well, Jokic, he's winning when LeBron is old and stuff like that. Well, no, you can't come with that argument, because if they make the playoffs and LeBron wins, okay, then y'all gonna be like, oh, okay, well, he's 39 years old. He's the first, oldest player to do this and do that or whatever. So you got to keep your argument consistent. But the thing about it is not only has Steph Curry won on his watch, he has a winning record versus LeBron in the finals. Okay. All right. Not only that, he has a winning record in the finals. All right. That's another case. All right. So when they talk about all this top five and GOAT conversations and stuff like that, you got to bring Steph Curry up in there. Look, I know some people, the other thing that people are always talking about is, oh, well, Steph Curry, he's not your traditional point guard. He's not your prototypical point guard. I've already said that, but that doesn't take away from his greatness. That absolutely does not take away from his greatness, because he's still able to score and he's still able to get his buckets, whether it's a 3-point shot or not. I know a lot of people are going to sit up there and they're going to bring up the fact, oh, well, you take away the 3-point shot, then what do you have? Well, you could say the same thing about Reggie Miller. You could say the same thing about Ray Allen. You could say the same thing about many guys that shot the 3-point shot. And it's not that they were heavily relying on it, because we got to also remember that some of those guys, they could actually score in the mid-range too as well. Yeah, Brown Sugar. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take away from his greatness. See, if the offense is running through Draymond Green and he's a point guard or whatever, then he's just bringing up the ball. Does Steph Curry, does he have the ability to bring the ball up? Yeah, he does. He's got the ability to do that. I mean, he did it quite a bit when he was at Davidson or whatever. But we all know that he's really dangerous at his bread and butter, off of coming off the pick or flashing down, or coming down, off a pin screen or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So I look at it from that perspective. Now, a lot of people, the knock on Curry is they talk about his defense. Okay. Well, we got to look at LeBron. LeBron's not, the best defender. Okay, is he a solid defender? Yeah. Did he do a solid job while he was in Miami? Yeah, but chase down blocks doesn't exemplify. That doesn't show how great of a defender that you are. We are talking about on-ball defense, being able to lock your man up. Okay, and neither one of those players really could do. They didn't do that all the time. But does he make an effort? Yeah, but you got to understand, Steph Curry. Um, he's gonna 9 times out of 10 when he's guarding somebody, he's gonna be. Usually, they're gonna have the height advantage on Steph Curry because he's 6'2", 6'3". They defend differently, but are horrible at the same time defending. I think that Steph Curry. You see, Steph Curry, man. I'm not going to go there and say that he's a horrible defender. Like, okay, when I think of a horrible defender, I think of automatically you think of somebody like Dame. You know what I'm saying? And listen, me saying all of this, that's why I do have Clay as my favorite player on the Warriors. But when we're talking about Steph Curry, we got to pay homage to Steph Curry too as well. See, people talk about, okay, LeBron not being clutch and all this other stuff, couldn't get it done in pressure moments and stuff like that. Well, they said the same thing about Steph Curry too as well. They said it with the Finals MVP. They said it, there was some time when he didn't show up in key moments, and guys like Clay had to bail him out or whatever. So you see what I'm saying? I'm stacking up the arguments right there when you sit up there and you try to bring these cases for LeBron being in top 5 or being in GOAT and everything. We got to be consistent with it. Also, another thing that a lot of people aren't looking at either. Okay, all this stuff about MVPs and stuff like that. Well, there's been cases when LeBron has won an MVP or whatnot, but guess what? Didn't fail. He failed to get it done. It was the same thing, with Steph Curry. You know what I'm saying? He might have won. He has a regular season MVP, a regular season MVP, and he also got the unanimous MVP. He's made a case in history on that right there. Nobody has ever done that. Also, LeBron, they sit up there and they talk about the all-time leading scorer, stuff like that. Okay, the argument with LeBron is that, hey, it took him, 20 some odd years to do that and all that other stuff. Well, look at Steph Curry. He has the 3-point shot record or whatever, right? And he was able to eclipse that, and he did it just a couple years ago. He did it at 34 years old. It didn't take him till he was like 40 or whatever. So there's an argument there. You say, I'm not taking nothing away from him. He's a great player, but I just think he don't defend as well as he should. You're right about that, Sugar. I agree. I agree with you. He's not going to be the first person that you're gonna put on somebody, but we have to understand that Steph Curry, he's a slept on. He slept on in picking the pockets of players. He slept on in playing the passing lane because he's not extremely fast, but he does anticipate very well. You know what I'm saying? But Steph Curry does have a case for the following. He has a case for being in top 5 right now. If you're going to sit up there and you're going to talk about, LeBron being GOAT and top 5 and skipping Kobe and all that other stuff, when Kobe got the 5 rings and stuff like that, and Kobe had three-peated and repeated, okay, then you got to bring up Steph Curry. You have to bring him up. Because the last time I checked, they went back to back. They went back to back, and on top of that, Curry has proven that he can win with the quote unquote super team and a juggernaut, and he has proven that he doesn't need a juggernaut. He could get it done without them. You know what I'm saying? Now, the only knock that, they're going to bring up is the finals MVP, of course. They're going to bring it up, with LeBron. Oh, yeah, well, LeBron got, he got 4 finals MVP. Steph Curry only has 1. You know what I'm saying? Uh, that could be an argument. You know what I'm saying? That could be an argument. But, at the same token, we, you could bring up the fact that, okay, when it comes to LeBron, yeah, while he's won 4 chips, he has a losing record in the finals. Also, you could bring up some other inefficiencies about LeBron in terms of the turnovers and stuff like that. We could do that too. You know what I'm saying? If you want to do that. And the reason why I bring up LeBron is because that's most likely who they're going to compare to in a generation, and that's who he's going to bump out of that top 5 in order to get that. Most likely that's what people are aiming at. Being at those two individuals, being at those two guys, that's all they pretty much have talked about this entire generation. But me, myself, Steph Curry, without a doubt. I didn't appreciate Steph Curry as much when he first came in as I do now. You know what I'm saying? Because, Sugar, I had to look at something, right? Man, I was looking at myself, and I started thinking, I said, wait a minute. I said, wait. All this talk about LeBron, and don't get me wrong, LeBron has done his thing. You know what I'm saying? He's done his thing. He's still out here playing and stuff like that. But the more they keep pushing this narrative of, oh yeah, LeBron is, he's the GOAT and he's top 5 and he's right next to Jordan and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, there's been people that's won on his watch. You know what I'm saying? On top of that, he's missed the playoffs. Steph Curry has missed the playoffs too. You know what I'm saying? Steph Curry has had some issues with injuries and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But he got his shit together and he was able to regroup. And then on top of that, we got to look at that 22 finals, right? This is another thing too. I got to go back to the 22 finals, okay? That was one of the greatest comebacks and greatest seasons that you can actually put up like a Hakeem Olajuwon. I put up a post with Hakeem, because Hakeem, every time that he faced someone that year that he won in '95, when he faced when he had to face Robinson, you know what I'm saying, and then he went on to sweep Shaquille O'Neal and stuff. That was one of the greatest historic runs because I think the Rockets were like a 7 seed or 6 seed or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But they weren't heavily favored. They were always the underdog in every single series. You know what I'm saying? They had been projected to lose. Well, it was the same thing with the Golden State Warriors. They were counting the Warriors out. They had a lot of stuff that was going on that season. They had an inconsistent Jordan Poole. You know what I'm saying? They had a Clay that was just getting back from injury, wasn't himself. Okay. And then you also had, there was some times when Curry had struggled. He went on a slump. Steph Curry actually went on a shooting slump, although he was able to get that record. But it was like after he got the 3-point record, he went into a shooting slump. But then all of a sudden they turned it on, and it was a combination. Andrew Wiggins, he was inconsistent and stuff, and so he was able to come back and will his team to victory with the combination of everybody else that showed up at the right time. You know what I'm saying? People were talking about how Draymond, wasn't the same and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Some of the stuff that they were saying now. I think he was having, a few injuries here and there. But they came back and they won it. And they were also saying, okay, will they get it done with KD? And guess what? He was able to prove that. So Steph Curry does have a case for top five. Some people can put him in the GOAT discussion. I have family members, and I know a couple friends that have Steph Curry in the GOAT discussion. Some of these kids call Steph Curry the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? And there are some people that study Steph Curry because realistically, they know that a lot of people are not going to have the not only the genetics to reach a 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", and be built like LeBron. They will never have that type of athleticism or that type of speed or that type of agility that LeBron possesses. So when you look at a guy like Steph Curry, who is 6'2", 6'3", or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Some people are like, okay, well, I I can shoot. You know what I'm saying? As long as I work on my shooting, hey, there's hope for me. And that's how some people look at it. But, man, uh, Paul Pierce, man, he definitely had a good point. Now, a lot of this, I'm beginning to think, man, with some of the statements that the truth is making, I'm beginning to think that this guy, man, is doing it for shock value. You know what I'm saying? Some of the stuff, not all of it, because I know um, Paul Pierce is one of those guys that's going to shoot it straight from the hip. But when he said that if, like for instance, when he said that if LeBron wins his fifth ring coming from ninth seed all the way to from ninth to championship, and he's going to be the undisputed GOAT. Everybody was looking around like they were really shocked that Paul Pierce would say something like that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same token, I do respect Paul Pierce because even though he might not be the biggest LeBron fan and might not deal with LeBron that much, he's able to give respect to what it do. Hold on one second, y'all. Sorry about that, y'all. So when we look at the top, like the top five or whatnot, like I said, man, um, it can be sometimes very subjective, but that's the fun of it. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people, like I said, they skip these two guys all the time. They really never talk about a guy like they don't bring up Wilt a lot, which I think is a shame. They tend to skip Kareem. They tend to skip Duncan. They forget Duncan. They forget Duncan has 5 rings. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about being in the discussion. And it it just gets crazy with these discussions and whatnot, man. But that's the thing. If he gets a fifth ring, we're talking about him being in there in the same sentence as a Duncan and as a Kobe when we talk about Steph Curry. If he gets a fifth ring, what's up with it, KJ the Don? I see you in the building, bro. You said you got Duncan at 6 right after Bird. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that, and you should have seen the level of, everybody was in. Everybody had tripped out when I said, okay, yeah, I got Larry Bird as my starting small forward and everything. but it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? I got Larry Bird as my as my starting small forward, but um, LeBron got more rings than Larry Bird. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's not all about rings. You got to look at what else is going on. It's just like, but when you talk about a case of power forward, and look, KJ, what's up with it, Matt? Thing about it is, when I'm building a team, when I talk about all this ghost stuff and top five and top 10 and all this other stuff, I listen to that, when they say it on TV, but I look at basketball much different. You know what I'm saying? I look at it like you're really supposed to construct a roster, and I'm like, who do you have at your shooting guard? Who do you have at your small forward? Blase, blase, blase. Yeah, Jordan, Bron, Kareem, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Kobe, Shaq, Steph, Olajuwon. I can't be mad at that. I can't be mad at that. And I don't never get mad. You got some people out here, man, that get really, really upset. Oh man, I can't believe you got this guy in there, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They be ready to fight you over that. If you listen, if you don't have LeBron in your top five or your top 10, man, you should see the amount of everybody just be in their feelings, man. And that's what I tell you, man. Over here, you better leave your feelings in the car, man. Leave your feelings in the car, man. Go ahead and chuck them, at the front door. You know what I'm saying? Because if they come up in here, they're gonna get tossed either in the trash or they're gonna get tossed out the back door. But I'm not mad at that. I don't do the whole top. I just don't do the top, the top five and top 10 and top 20 and top 25 and stuff like that. I don't really do it like that. You know. All right, bro. Yeah, leave your feelings in your pocket. You got to. You got to. It's not really that serious. And you got people on here that'll literally block you because you don't like a certain player. Like, you know what I'm saying? What's up with it, Ted? If you don't like a certain player, they're in their feelings automatically. I don't never see it that way. If you call LeBron your GOAT, man, I'm not going. What why am I gonna sit there and get mad at you about? Now, if you sit up there and you make a stupid argument and you say that, yeah, LeBron is better than this play, he played this position better, or he's a better shooter than this person, or something like that. Like, if you say, yeah, LeBron is a better shooter than Steph Curry, if you say some silly stuff like that, then okay, then you are really capping. You say, yeah, I engage um, only for the sake of conversation, but in my opinion, it's no GOAT because the game and the eras are so vastly different with the styles and the rule changes. Oh man, KJ, I like that take, man. I like that take. You and Brown Sugar, you right. Too damn emotional. You got to stop being emotional now. But I understand people being passionate. People being passionate about their team. People being passionate about the guys that that they like to watch and stuff. But some of these people have never, they've never met these players before. You know what I'm saying? They don't even know these guys, and you would think that they sit at the dinner table with them all the time or something like that. The way that they defend these guys or whatever. I listen. I like Michael Jordan. I think he's my top player all the time. But I'll tell you in a heartbeat, I'll list his weaknesses, both from basketball and personality. And you got to be able to break it down. Kobe had his weaknesses. You know what I'm saying? God rest his soul. I'm not going to sit up there and be like Candace Owens and be criticizing him, you know what I'm saying, for his 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 shortcomings and stuff like that when the man is dead, when we trying to celebrate this guy. But I'll be able to talk about his shortcomings as it pertains to basketball. You know what I'm saying? I'll be able to say, okay, yeah, did he shoot himself out of the game and his team out of the game? Yeah, he did. You know what I'm saying? Did he take some inefficient shots at times? Yeah. Was he a volume scorer at times? Yeah. Was he a selfish player at times? Absolutely. But everybody has their weaknesses. You said we made championship a metric, but forget Jordan, Mike, and Russell like dominance in the 40s and early 50s. Why? We didn't see it, and the game evolved. But is it fair? Hell no. Well, that's the thing. We weren't there. See, and see that goes back to a guy like JJ Redick talking about plumbers and cablemen, not cablemen, cab drivers, all that other stuff. That little statement that he said. Um, we got to understand, man. Like those times were different. NBA players, man, they really didn't get paid that much. Okay, so and I don't mean to stray away from the subject, but I'm just stay with me for a second. There were guys in the off season that really had to go and they had to go work industrial jobs or even work at another job because to make ends meet during that time because the NBA wasn't really NBA playing nowhere near what it was back then in comparison to now. The reason I say all that to say, back in those times, it was a different struggle. It was a different struggle, especially for blacks. You know what I'm saying? It was a mental struggle for us. You know what I'm saying? Because we were dealing with segregation, we were dealing with racism. Players were being spit on, having cigars thrown at them. You know, somebody had BM'd on Bill Russell's bed and smeared it all over the walls. That sort of thing. People were trashed to hotels. There were racial slurs that they had to go through. So it was a different fight. On top of that, if we're talking about an overall culture, people like to criticize these guys and stuff like that. Yet alone, they were able to play like the fastest pace back then. But think about it. They don't allow smoking in arenas now. If you smoke, of course you're gonna get a citation or possibly arrested if you keep on doing it. Back then, the arena was smoky because you had to think about it. If you go into a place like New York or Boston and places like that, they were smoking cigars inside of their arena. So can you imagine and then you have to run and you're inhaling all that smoke and stuff like that and having all the films and stuff like that? It was it was a struggle. And then on top of that, don't get me started on the locker rooms. And then we can even simplify it all the way down to the shoes that they were wearing. These guys were playing in Chuck Taylors. These guys were playing in Chuck Taylors. Like, listen, Chuck Taylors are made for, I think they initially made them for people that were flat-footed. Because if you wear Chuck Taylors, and let's just be real, man, as high as you're jumping and you come down on somebody's foot, do you understand the level of pain that you're going to endure? So let's just simplify it to that. Some of the struggles that they went through. You said the NBA played, yeah, and they played harder. If these guys are going to make the list, it should be pre-merger 3-point line and post. Also, you have to separate most skilled and graded. Well, yeah, but also we also got to look at the success rate because listen, um, Hakeem Olajuwon, he was skilled and he was also successful too. And it goes back. If you go look at my community posts, you have to understand that he was dominating guys that were in their prime that were projected to beat him. You know what I'm saying? And I know that that's just 1 year, but that's just an example. But he was consistent when we talk about skill or whatever. Now, when we talk about the 3-point line, you know what I'm saying? You're talking about guys. Okay, imagine if a guy like Jerry West had a 3-point line. Imagine if a guy like Walt Clyde Frazier had a 3-point line. Imagine if Earl Pearl Monroe had a 3-point line. Imagine if a guy like Pete Maravich, you know what I'm saying, had a 3-point line. You know what I'm saying? Even though his shooting percentage was very low and everything. Imagine if those guys did have a 3-point line. You say you got to respect the guys who paved the way. I'm going to rinse you up like KJ, man. There you go, brother. You got to respect the guys who paved the way. Them plumbers were taking 5-step dribble without carry. Will had to change his game because of how offensive fouls were enforced. Yeah, that's facts. Absolutely. And see, people don't understand, man. They always talk about, oh yeah, Will. He played everybody that he played. See, I've already done this comparison. The height that Wilt Chamberlain, the average height that he was playing with, it wasn't like he was playing. Oh yeah, everybody was like 6'6" and stuff like that. No, he played against tall players. He was just playing against midget and everybody was trash and all this other stuff. No, it wasn't like that. And the game was physical. You also got to realize, man, everybody they look at the black and white and they look at, oh, these guys ain't nothing and all this other stuff. But until you're out there and until you've actually endured it, until you've actually witnessed it from afar, then what are we talking about here? You got to be able to understand that those guys, they played a faster pace. One could argue that it was rugged, you know what I'm saying? Because I often talk about the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about the 70s and let's talk about the 60s. You know what I'm saying? We could talk about that too. Guys were physical and strong too. Now, does the game evolve? Yeah, absolutely. It evolves. Everything changes with time. You got, bigger players and all that other stuff. But, like you said, man, going back to KJ's original statement, yeah, you have to take into consideration the era that each one of these guys have played in, and that definitely has an impact. So if you throwing a guy like Steph Curry in there, that's why a lot of people, they sit there and they say, okay, yeah, if you take away the 3-point line, you know what I'm saying? But I don't fault Steph Curry for that. That's how he grew up. So yeah, man. I like your list though, KJ, man. I definitely like your list, man. Because I think you had Jordan, Bryant, Kareem, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Kobe, Shaq, Steph, Olajuwon. Nice list, man. You know. Um, but people, like I said, man, people get haywire when you don't put a certain player in their top 5 or top 10 or something like that. Some people get mad at the fact when I say that Steph Curry is in the top five or he has the case for top five or top 10. Yeah, like it, share it, subscribe, man. But that was it, man. I just wanted to get on here, man, and talk my ish, man, about what Paul Pierce, the great Paul Pierce had to say about this, man. He did, listen. Paul Pierce has played the game long enough to know what he sees. I don't think he's just making that statement just for, like I said, shock value or anything. I really believe in his heart. Yeah, Ted. I really believe in his heart that when he talks about a guy like Steph Curry, because a lot of people they look over Steph Curry, man, like he hasn't done anything for this generation and stuff. Uh, Man, Steph Curry, you got to understand this, and I look at this more than anything, right? First off, another case that Steph Curry has, he has been loyal to the soil. As they say, womb to the tomb on BMF. I'm on my BMF shit right now, man. I've been watching BMF, y'all. You said Steph Curry is more than a sharpshooter. He's an underrated passer. Yeah, he is. Very underrated passer and a very good playmaker. At one time, who were the three handles that they were talking about in basketball when they talk about handling the rock? It's not like Steph Curry can't handle the rock. He can handle the rock. He can handle it in the half court. He can handle it when he's dribbling in transition and stuff like that. But we all know who was handling the rock more. That was Draymond. But the top three guys that they were talking about who had the best handles were Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving, and Chris Paul. You know what I'm saying? And we saw what happened when what Steph Curry did to Chris Paul, making him fall and stuff like that. Steph Curry has made people fall. Steph Curry makes people get off balance, man. You know what I'm saying? This guy is skilled. He is crafty. He has, everybody wants to talk about a bag and all this other stuff. All he does is shoot threes. No. Steph Curry got the in and out. He got the in and out crossover. He got the in and out bop bop. He got the in and out go behind your back. He got the in and out spin around, bam, come around, step back, hezo, come back in, and the runner. You know what I'm saying? He got so many moves, man. So many moves. Curry was loyal to Davidson. Duke wanted him after he committed to Davidson. Yep. But, man, I would have loved to have Steph Curry over there with Duke. You said Steph is an underrated defender as well. Man, team defender with disrupt the lane long arms. And he usually holds his own with bigger forwards on the block. Okay, and me and Sugar were just talking about that. Curry has a lethal bag. I'm going to get to yours in a minute, Chad. Okay, listen, me and Sugar were just talking about that. That's what I just said, all right? I said he's not as far as being an on-ball defender, shut you down like a Pat Beverly locking you up, or, back in the days like a PJ Tucker locking you up, or Dennis Rodman, that type, locking you up and all that other stuff, Alvin Robinson, all that other stuff. Man, he can play the passing lane. You know what I'm saying? And that's very important. He at one point, I think Steph Curry was a steals leader. He's been a steals leader. And everybody's going to sit up there, oh, man, well, you could get steals by doing that. Listen, it's still a part of defense. Steals, blocks, rebounds, they're still a part of defense. Being able to be a disruptor, it's still a part of defense. Picking a person's pocket, still a part of defense. Bumping the cutter, or at least touching the cutter, that's a part of defense. Being able to read a pick and roll, and get to that guy and get up under the screen, that's still a part of defense. Still start fast, but yeah, exactly. And that's another thing. Curry can run the break too. Now I know the knock on him is that, oh yeah, he he stops at the 3-point line and stuff like that. But go look at the highlight. Just like they say Jordan can't go left and Jordan can't do this and Jordan can't do that and all this other stuff. Steph Curry has plenty of highlights of him going straight to the rack. Steph Curry got plenty of highlights of him dunking. Steph Curry has plenty of highlights of him going to the lane. Steph Curry has plenty of highlights of him using the rim as a shield. Steph Curry has plenty of highlights of him being able to slip the defender, making him miss or whatever, getting him up in the air and with some fakes or whatever, and putting it in softly. You know what I'm saying? We got to stop acting like everything is a 3-pointer with this guy. 93% from the line, automatic. You said Paleo thought he had an easy 2 points when he got Curry on the switch, and my boy Paleo turned it over. Yeah, man. Paleo, Bashir, man. I like the Magic, man. I love the Magic this season, man. I like the way that they're playing this year, man. And guys like Skip Bayless, you know what I'm saying? They're not ready. TV is not ready, and the media, they'd rather give the Lakers, who clearly have a worse record than the Magic. The Magic, if the playoffs started, they're in the playoff. You know what I'm saying? But they'd rather talk about, the Lakers. Let's talk about some of these other teams. But Paleo Bashiro, you know what I'm saying, and the rest of them guys that's on there, man, they doing their thing, man. Yeah, I know you like Ingles, Joe Ingles. I would love to have Joe Ingles though, man. For real, bro. Like that's my guy, man. He got such an unorthodox looking game, man. Because I think Joe Ingles from Australia, right? He's Australian. Ain't he from Australia? Yeah, he from Australia. Australia Foster's. Foster's, that's the beer. Australian, man. You know them Australians, man, they ain't no punks, man. Shit, man. Man, they'll Crocodile Dundee your ass in a minute. Shit, man. Crocodile Dundee. You said never forget when Ingles gave a point guard at work during the Jazz Thunder. Yeah, man. And that was hey, you know what? That was that year when the Jazz, man, they had like 6, 7 guys that was in double figures. You know what I'm saying? When they had Conley, you know what I'm saying? They had Jordan. They had who else did they have? I don't think Rodney Hood was on there, man. They had a collective group of guys that was on that squad, man. All of them were pretty good, man. But they just couldn't capitalize. They underachieved, man. Yeah, they are. Yeah, man. I only met like 2 Australians. One of them didn't even, they didn't play ball and none of that other stuff, but they were pretty decent guys or whatever, man. But we also got to understand, Kyrie is Australian and Ben Simmons is Australian. Yeah, man. I think all coaches like to do that though, Ted, man. That's worldwide, man. That's worldwide. Luke Longley, Pothead, and Phil Jackson. You said Australian women are cool. Don't ask me how I know. Yeah, Australian, Germany. But man, like, yeah, they down the land down under. You know what's crazy about Australia too, man? And I haven't been down there, but I heard in places like Australia and New Zealand, everything is opposite. Like your steering wheel is on the right side, and you drive you drive on the left side going east. And then if a car is coming towards you, they're on the right. Everything is opposite over there. That that would be a crazy culture shock to make, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you having to drive on the right side. Driving on the right side, that's not too terrible. But then the way that you're driving on the road, the direction that you're driving on the road, I think that would throw some people off. Yeah, they start drinking at 11. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy, man. 11 years old. I wasn't even thinking about no alcohol, no 11 years old, man. Yeah, they get them started early, man. They trying to destroy them kids' liver, man, by the time they become adults, man. But anyways, man, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna roll out, man. I appreciate everybody pulling up, man. Uh, Make sure y'all like the video, share it, subscribe, hit the notifications so that you are notified. Shouts out to the whole Lions Den, both basketball as well as boxing community. Again, it's your boy, straight to the point, sports and entertainment. I'll get at you later.